Alright, what is going on, you guys? Brian here, and this is my recap of the 2019 WWE Draft. I'm going to give my thoughts on both nights, last Friday night on SmackDown as well as tonight on Raw, and I'm going to run down who got drafted, which brand, who got drafted to which brand, and all that other stuff. So let's just get right into it. Of course, my overall thought on this draft, I thought it was completely dumb. I really did. I feel like SmackDown got shafted in this draft. No offense. The feel and the way that they tried to make this feel like the NFL draft really didn't do much. And so yeah, I mean, I feel like they put a lot of bigger names on Raw and than on SmackDown. So let me just get right into it. So Raw, I'm gonna read the names of who's going to Raw first. This includes everybody that got drafted Friday, over the weekend, who they picked up over the weekend, and then of course tonight, and then I'll do the same thing for SmackDown. So Raw's picks include the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch, the OC, that being Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and the United States Champion AJ Styles, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Ricochet, Bobby Lashley, Alexa Bliss, Kevin Owens, Natalya, Viking Raiders, the new Raw Tag Team Champions. They defeated Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler on tonight on Raw. Nikki Cross, Street Profits, then three names that they picked up over the weekend, EC3, Eric Young, and Sin Cara. Then on tonight's Raw, they drafted Seth Rollins, the Universal Champion, Charlotte Flair, Andrade, Kabuki Warriors, Rusev, Aleister Black, Cedric Alexander, Humberto Carrillo, Eric Rowan, Buddy Murphy, Jinder Mahal, R-Truth, Samoa Joe, Akira Tozawa, Shelton Benjamin, Rey Mysterio, Titus O'Neil, and Liv Morgan. Now, out of all those names that are going to Raw, I think maybe 9 or 10 of them actually moved from SmackDown to Raw, because the whole wild card rule has really confused a lot of people that I saw on social media talking about this draft. This really screwed up. That whole wild card rule really screwed up who was where, and and all that stuff. Plus, I actually got confused because as far as the championships are concerned, what would have happened if Becky Lynch would have got drafted to SmackDown with the Raw Women's title? Would she have had to surrender that championship, or would there have been some kind of thing where they just whatever? So that was kind of confusing. They also said that they had that rule in the rules of the draft that a tag team could count as one pick unless Fox or USA Network executives wanted one person of that team. There was a whole bunch of stuff about this draft that was very confusing and very not so surprising. So moving on to SmackDown, who's going to be moving there? Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, Sasha Banks, Braun Strowman, Lacey Evans, The Revival, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Lucha House Party, Heavy Machinery. They got picked up for SmackDown on Friday night. They got drafted to SmackDown on last Friday night. Then over the weekend, Apollo Crews, former Cruiserweight Champion Drew Gulak, Heath Slater, Tamina, and the B-Team got picked up by SmackDown. Then tonight's draft picks for SmackDown were Brock Lesnar, the WWE Champion. I really did not want to see that. No offense to Brock, but I really did not want to see him get drafted to SmackDown. I wish that they would have drafted Seth with their Universal Championship at least. they would have had a world championship to compete for on SmackDown, but it is what it is. The New Day, Daniel Bryan, the SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley, who won the title this past Friday night on SmackDown over Charlotte Flair. Shinsuke Nakamura, the Intercontinental Champion. Ali, who I feel they really need to do something with. The former Raw Tag Team Champions, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Carmella, so apparently they've broken up Carmella and R-Truth. Because there's not going to be any more wild card rules, so Carmella's not going to be able to appear on Raw. The Miz, King Corbin, Shorty Gable, who I really do not even want to talk about that whole situation. I feel like them changing Gable's name to Shorty Gable because of his height and because of the fact that they did his storyline making fun of his height, of him being small, just doesn't make any sense. And then the last pick for SmackDown was Elias. So those were the names of the people that got drafted to both brands. I do feel like SmackDown, as far as the women's division is concerned, really got the short end of the stick with them moving Charlotte to Raw, because who are they going to have on SmackDown to chase after Bayley, unless they turn Sasha back babyface. But I mean, it is what it is. What else was I going to say? So they do have a list of the people that were not drafted. That includes names like Cesaro, AOP, Luke Harper, Fire and Desire, that being Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, the Iconics, plus some other ones. I forget who else. I think Sarah Logan, Dana Brooke, just to name a few. Those are some of the names that were undrafted, so they're going to be free agents, and they'll be able to sign with whomever they want to, whichever brand they want to. And then they did mention on Raw tonight that there's going to be some kind of big trade within the next 24 hours, and they're going to talk about it on the WWE Backstage show they have coming up starting tomorrow on FS1. So I feel like, I don't know who that's going to involve, if that's going to involve anybody really in particular. I know they did announce on Raw tonight that at Crown Jewel, Seth Rollins is going to defend the Universal title against The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. On the same night that Seth is going to be a part of Team Hogan when they take on Team Flair. Team Hogan includes Seth Rollins, Rusev, and Ricochet. And they're going to be taking on Team Flair in a 5-on-5 match. Team Flair includes Randy Orton, King Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Shinsuke Nakamura. So that'll be interesting to see who fills out those other places on each team. Raw went off the air with, Raw went off the air with Seth Rollins burning down the Firefly Funhouse. Apparently, he attacked Bray Wyatt on the set of that Firefly Funhouse, and then burned it down. But it had images of the Fiend in it as well. What else? The Viking Raiders became the new Raw Tag Team Champions, so that's why they sent Roode and Ziggler to SmackDown. Yeah, really nothing else. I mean, the Kabuki Warriors defeated Lacey Evans and Natalya in a tag match. That was actually the main event match of the show. But yeah, overall the draft really was not that all special. I mean, we did on tonight's Raw. We saw the contract signing between Strowman and Tyson Fury for their match at Crown Jewel. But as far as the draft, it was not really much. I mean, this year's draft was a dud. I hate to say it. I mean, with the whole wild card rule they had, it was so confusing to keep up with who was on which brand before and where, whether or not they were moving to a different brand. You had superstars get drafted because of their relationships, and you can't say that they weren't drafted. They can't say people weren't drafted for because of their relationships, because look at Charlotte Flair was drafted to Raw, and then immediately after, Andrade was drafted to Raw. They're in a relationship. Aleister Black was drafted to Raw because Zelina Vega was drafted with Andrade, and Zelina and Aleister Black are in a relationship. Seth Rollins is staying on Raw with the Universal title because he's engaged to Becky Lynch. It was just confusing, and then like I said, with the whole wild card rule, that made it even confusing. And then to keep up with who was going where and who was on which brand before, whether or not they were being moved, it was overall dumb. This whole draft, on both Friday night and then tonight, was absolutely just the absolute dumbest draft I've seen. And then plus they really seemed like they put more emphasis to give Raw more of a better deal than they did SmackDown. So, I mean, it is what it is. My honest opinion, I thought this draft was dumb. I thought they could have did a better job with it, not make it feel like, this whole thing that it wasn't. But it is what it is. So with that being said, my overall thoughts on the draft tonight, as well as the whole draft, I thought it was dumb. I thought it was stupid. It was confusing because of the wild card rule. You didn't know which superstar were on which brands, and if whether or not they were switching over or staying. It was just dumb. So if you guys watched the draft tonight on either Friday night as well as tonight, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments below. And before I forget, the Fiend Bray Wyatt challenging Seth Rollins for the Universal title at Crown Jewel will be a Falls Count Anywhere match. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. I think Seth will probably win that one. But yeah, if you guys watched the draft for both nights, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments below. I thought this year's draft was absolutely dumb. They could have did a better job. So with that being said, this has been my WWE Draft 2019 recap of who went where and what I thought of the draft in general, as well as what happened on tonight's Raw as far as events, as far as matches are concerned. So with that being said, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.